Welcome to Chandwell. My name's Michael and I'm building this low relief Victorian hotel for behind my station. It is only a few centimetres deep. The grand ballroom has 2 windows here and 3 here. But when you look closely, you can see right through the ballroom, which is 4 windows deep, to the 3 windows on the other side. Let's dive straight into part 11, adding depth with mirrors. In part 8 of this series, I cut a hole in the hotel to make an alleyway. A viewer called Donald added a comment to that video suggesting that I use a mirror to give the alleyway some depth. I thought that this was a great idea, so I bought a small acrylic handbag mirror from eBay for £1.55. Let's see if this works then. Once in place, the effect of depth given by the mirror is astonishing. It looks great to see light at the end of the passageway. It looks fantastic on the video, but even better when seen in the flesh. There is a subtle 3D effect to it that only your 2 eyes can make out. What a difference the mirror makes. Thank you, Donald. I filled up both my glue applicators for the first time since starting the hotel. Between them, I added 42 pence worth of PVA glue. Before I started to construct the ballroom, I needed to add the small details to the walls. I printed lintels and sills and methodically cut these out, coloured the exposed paper edges with a pen, and arranged them in place on the wall. Sills were done by adding the paper and folding it around the wall. Next, I needed to give the impression of continuity along the ground level at the top of the retaining wall. To that end, I made a simple platform structure to the correct dimensions, and checked the alignment, before covering the platform in matching textures to the rest of the hotel. I made a simple wall with a door in it, and then used clamps to hold everything in place whilst the glue set. At this point I had chatted via email with Donald, and he had sent me a very interesting article by John Allen from a 1981 issue of Model Railroader discussing the use of mirrors. I began to wonder if a mirror inside the ballroom would be fun. With a quick test, it looks like I might be onto something. But first, windows. These windows are 30mm tall, that's a scale 4.4 metres, or over 14 feet. I use the sticky label technique for all my windows, but these ones needed to be slightly different. I printed very subtle frame relief to give an impression of 3D frames on the paper. I stuck the frame first to another piece of sticky label to make it 2 sheets thick. I then stuck this to some acetate. I'm using the plastic wrapping that surrounds single portion Marks & Spencer cheesecake. It's the perfect stiffness for model windows. I then carefully cut freehand around the curved elements of the window. You will see that I keep my scalpel in roughly the same place and cut in only one direction. I rotate the window under the scalpel with my other hand. This gives a nice uniform cut. I next use the steel rule to do the straight pieces, and I cut straight through the frames in single straight lines. The resulting holes can then be tweezed out with the scalpel blade. Once the tricky bit is done, I crisscross the whole window with straight lines, top to bottom, side to side, before peeling out the holes once more. After 10 minutes of this, I am left with a very substantial but still very delicate window, which looks exactly like I wanted. Once the windows were all done, and there are 33 in this part of the building alone, I added a simple floor and once again did a mirror test. The effect is definitely going to work. It dawned on me that I would get a much better sense of depth if I mounted the mirror on the rear of the hotel instead of the rear of the ballroom. It was time once again for hotel surgery. I carefully worked out where I needed to cut to increase the depth of the ballroom before hacking away another great chunk of the back of the hotel. I bought another mirror on eBay, this time to a custom dimension, so it cost a little bit more at $6.99. With this in place and the ballroom held in place, I think I made the right choice. The ballroom will be quite dark, so I don't need to go overboard with the internal detail, but I did want to give the impression of a detailed interior. I printed a simple 2-layer internal wall structure and did a test fit. I printed a very basic colour scheme based on the French ballroom in the Midland Hotel in Bradford. I added a new cover layer for the floor, which had been extended into the new hall in the hotel back. Once wrapped and glued, I think that this will look great. On the hotel in Bradford, the arched tops of the windows seem to be for show only. They do not let light into the ballroom. I mimicked this by colouring the backs of the internal walls with Sharpie marker. With the simple interior in place, irrespective of whether there is a mirror in here or not, the effect of the internal walls really does make a difference. The ballroom looks solid and three-dimensional. I printed some very simple curtains. They are not the best thing I have ever made by far, but when folded and glued into place, they do look more or less like curtains. All that remains is to add the ceiling and move the ballroom into place against the mirror. The effect of depth is astonishing. I'm so pleased that I went for this. The inside walls of the ballroom are reflected and give the impression of a single large room. The room is dark but enticing, with just the right level of detail so as to be interesting. I'm recording this 99 days after starting the hotel. I've now worked on it for 127.25 hours. This part of the build has taken 2 mirrors, 2 A4 sticky labels, 2 sheets of photo paper, 23 grams of thin glue, 19 grams of thick glue, and 1 snap-off of a craft knife blade. This has taken the total cost of the hotel to £23.25. I'm detailing the outer walls of the ballroom next, so until then, thank you for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.